Frank stirred, his consciousness like a wisp of smoke gradually weaving its way back into his weary mind. His eyelids felt as heavy as the weight of 1,000 burdens, each blink a struggle against the oppressive darkness that threatened to engulf him. Through the fractured windows of the armored car, feeble rays of light fought their way in, casting eerie patterns on the cracked interior. As his senses slowly returned, Frank found himself slumped against the cold, unforgiving metal of the vehicle. The air was thick with the metallic tang of blood and the acrid stench of smoke, assaulting his senses with every labored breath. Pain pulsed through his body like a relentless drumbeat, each movement a reminder of the battle he had fought and the wounds he had sustained. Frank's mind furrowed in confusion as he tried to make sense of the scene before him, the lines between reality and hallucination blurring in his mind's eye. "Hey, wake up!" A voice pierced through the fog of Frank's thoughts, dragging him back to the present. He blinked, focusing on the soldier across from him. "You should have bandaged yourself by now," the soldier said, his voice a steady anchor amidst the chaos that surrounded them. Frank shook his head, the haze of confusion slowly dissipating. "My bandages, they've been destroyed," he murmured, his voice barely more than a whisper. Without a word, the soldier reached into his pack and produced a roll of bandages, offering them to Frank. Grateful, Frank accepted the makeshift aid, his fingers trembling as he began to wrap them around his wounded limb. The soldier watched in silence, his gaze unwavering as Frank tended to his injuries with a determination born of desperation. "Would you like a cigarette?" the soldier asked suddenly, breaking the somber silence that had settled between them. Frank hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, please," he replied, his voice rough with exhaustion. As the soldier lit a cigarette and handed it to Frank, another voice spoke up from beside him. "Give him the canteen," it said, the words tinged with a sense of urgency. Turning, Frank saw the soldier beside him holding out a battered canteen, its contents shimmering faintly in the dim light. The soldier's gaze lingered for a moment on Frank's wrist, where the gleam of an expensive watch caught his eye. "That's a fine piece you got there," the soldier remarked, a wistful note in his voice. "Used to have one just like it." With a nod of acknowledgement, he passed the canteen to Frank, the weight of the moment hanging heavy in the air. "Thank you," Frank murmured, taking the canteen and pressing it to his parched lips, the cool liquid soothing his throat like a balm. As Frank struggled to maintain his grip on consciousness, the soldier across from him spoke again, his words a distant echo in the haze of Frank's fading awareness. "It's not safe here, you need to go," he said, his voice carrying a weight of sorrow that seemed to seep into Frank's very soul. But Frank was slipping, his consciousness slipping away like grains of sand through his fingers. The soldier's words dissolved into the ether, lost in the fog of Frank's faltering mind as darkness once again claimed him. Frank's consciousness flickered back like a candle in a drafty room, casting feeble light on the grim tableau before him. His gaze wandered across the desolation of the armored car's interior, the shattered remnants of their once sturdy fortress, now a stark reminder of the violence that had consumed them. As his senses slowly reawakened, Frank's attention was drawn to the figures around him. The soldier beside him lay motionless, his stillness a stark contrast to the chaos that surrounded them. Frank reached out tentatively, his hand trembling as it brushed against the cold, lifeless form beside him. "Hey, are you all right?" he whispered, the words barely audible in the suffocating silence that enveloped them. There was no response, no flicker of recognition in the soldier's vacant eyes. Frank's heart clenched with a mixture of dread and disbelief as he turned his attention to the soldier across from him, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "What happened while I was out?" he asked, the words carrying a weight of apprehension as they hung in the air like a lingering specter. But the soldier offered no reply, his silence a chilling reminder of the gulf that now separated them. Frank's mind raced with questions, doubts swirling like eddies in a turbulent sea. Had they fallen in battle while he lay unconscious, oblivious to the danger that lurked just beyond the fragile veil of his dreams? Or had they been dead all along, mere illusions conjured by his fractured mind in a desperate bid for companionship amidst the horrors of war? A shiver ran down Frank's spine as the realization dawned on him, the truth of their existence more terrifying than any nightmare he could have imagined. They had been dead all along, mere echoes of a life once lived, haunting the wreckage of their former selves like ghosts doomed to wander the earth for eternity. With a heavy heart, Frank pushed himself to his feet, his movements slow and deliberate as he stumbled towards the exit of the armored car. The soldier's warning echoed in his mind like a distant bell tolling the hour of reckoning, a somber reminder of the peril that awaited him if he dared linger too long in this desolate place. As he crawled out into the harsh light of day, Frank couldn't help but feel a pang of sorrow for the fallen soldiers who had kept him company in his darkest hour. They may have been nothing more than phantoms, but in that fleeting moment, they had been his only tether to sanity amidst the chaos of war. And for that, he would be forever grateful.